Good morning. Welcome to the JagCorner. I was doing a quick audio test. I think we're fine. So let me do that again. Good morning. Welcome to the JagCorner. Give me a shout out if you're already in the chat. Yeah. Today we're going to be doing some programming. We're kind of picking up where we left off the last time we were doing programming on Crescent Memories. So we're gonna work with that here. But before we get to that, see if anybody's shown up. No one's shown up so far. I am streaming, right? Pretty sure I'm streaming. Yeah, I'm definitely streaming. Okay. Just making sure. Oh, man, the holidays are done. They were great, but thank goodness they're finished. I am so glad that holidays are over with. Yeah, before we get started, speaking of the holidays, I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. My New Year's Eve was fun. I got to spend it with some family, and we played a board game. The board game's called Clank. It's pretty good. It's a dungeon crawler, board game dungeon crawler. Go into the dungeon, you collect treasure, and there's this dragon. You have to get out before the dragon knocks the dungeon down. It's pretty good game. After that, I actually did some Jaguar development with with my brothers. After that, one of my brothers he kind of got fixated on Jag Studio and doing stuff in Jag Studio. He had started on a little program where he was just playing around with graphics and animating things, and so we spent the evening troubleshooting that and getting things to work. Yeah, so that was good, and we continued that the next morning on New Year's Day, and did tried to do some stuff with tile maps, and so I spent a few hours trying to figure out how to change the default settings for the, let's see here, I think it's draw map. That was the name of the example in the basics project folder. How to change that so you could do different size tiles and a different size map, and it was very difficult, surprisingly difficult. And a lot of that comes from just not knowing basic. But yeah, it was pretty difficult. I've done some tile maps in the removers library, and of course I'm gonna say that it was easier to do it in the removers library. But a better way of saying that is it was better in the sense that I could set it up the way that made sense to me. And so how it was set up in Jag Studio, I'm sure makes sense to someone. So turn my phone down here so it isn't distracting. Anyways, so hope everybody else had a great New Year. I'm looking forward to this year. It's going to be quite a bit different for me in terms of JagCorner, and I'm thinking about starting some live streams on my personal channel, which is just William Thorup. I think it's William Thorup Artist is the link, like the unique link. Anyways, I'm thinking about doing some live streaming there, just painting and drawing, to create some content there, and use it as kind of a practice ground for trying out, optimizing my YouTube stuff. So titles, thumbnails, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this next year. Let me know if there's any Jag stuff that you're planning on doing this year that would be interesting to talk about. Yeah. What else? Oh, we do have, let me pull up the browser here really quick. So we had a couple things get announced just on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I can't remember. I think it was New Year's Eve. These pages for Gravitic Minds, and the Dr. Typo collection were put up. But so if you aren't aren't up to speed with this, Gravitic Minds is a new release by Reboot, and if you haven't played the demo, it's pretty good. You can get the demo for free on the Atari Age forum thread, I believe, or a better place to go is probably his Reboot Gravitic Minds, because I believe that, yep, there's their demo right there. You can download their demo directly from their webpage, and I believe it is on the Atari Age forum, so if that probably shows up somewhere in the search result as well. So anyways, so there's that. Yeah, Gravitic Minds is really good. I've been through the demo myself 2 or 3 times now, so I'm really looking forward to this release. Very professional. Has something like, I believe it's 30 minutes, over 30 minutes worth of music in it. And so you can get, in fact, let's scroll through this really quick. So, 38 minutes worth of music. So, and just as a note, I was the artist that put together the illustration here. And I designed the box art, put that all together, and a lot of the other graphics, not in the game, but outside the game, is it's stuff I worked on. So I am biased in that regard, but it really is a good game. I'm not sponsored or anything by Atari Age to talk about this. I'm doing it because it is something I'm genuinely interested in. I am being featured though here. I did do a time lapse for the cover art, and so if you're interested in seeing that process, that's available. You can see that on my personal webpage, which is, if you just search William Thorup and look for this picture, you'll find it, or just go here to the store page. You can see it there too. Let's see here, Keypad and Overlay. So we did a stream 3 or 4 weeks ago where I was working on this Jaguar controller. So here's a render of the finished controller. Looks pretty darn good, and again, in my biased opinion, I think it looks really good. But one of the main reasons why I modeled it was so we could showcase the overlay before actually having the overlay produced. And so it's a physically accurate model, so the overlay is fairly accurate. Anyways, so there's the overlay for that. You could has Pro Controller support, which I highly suggest that you use a Pro Controller with this game, and you can buy brand new Pro Controllers at Atari Age as well. So there's really no excuse not to use a Pro Controller, unless you can't afford it. And that's a good excuse. Poster, so with Gravitic Minds, there's going to be a deluxe package, which will include a poster and a bunch of other stuff, which we're going to see here soon. So there's a poster, soundtrack. So what's really cool about Reboots, they've done 2 releases now that have had soundtrack releases, Last Strike and now Gravitic Minds. Another soundtrack for the Jag that we've gotten recently is Battle Morph from Songbird Productions. So it's really cool that we're getting these soundtracks on dedicated albums, which the only thing we had before was Tempest 2000, which I'm glad we got Tempest 2000. But getting these newer games on with soundtracks is awesome. It'd be cool to go back to, like, I would love a soundtrack of like Club Drive. I think that'd be really cool. It'd be really, really good to get a soundtrack for Ultra Vortec. Would be another great game. I want to say Iron Soldier, but it really doesn't have the best soundtrack. So I'm wondering if, and this would be pretty close to an impossibility nowadays, but going through a lot of the Jaguar library where it had inconsistent quality with the music and create a greatest hits album for the Jaguar, it'd be cool to contact everybody and get the rights to do that. But yeah, that's a lot of legwork. Maybe I'll do that someday. I really like vinyl, and so maybe one day I'll try to create a greatest hits dual or a 2x LP for the greatest hits on the Jag. Yeah. Anyway, soundtrack, you can get that. also with the Deluxe, there's going to be a patch that you can get. I believe it's a 3x3 inch. I think that's what they're planning on. Maybe they're not set on that yet. 3x3 or a 2x2, along with a keychain and then some stickers. So there will be a die cut sticker. I think that's what we're planning on. I think this is all subject to change. I'm working with Albert on this, and so there might be some changes here, but there's going to be a lot included with the Deluxe package. So if you have the money to spend, I highly suggest you get the Deluxe package just for the soundtrack, really. Something else, and I don't know if he talks about here. Maybe I shouldn't bring it up. Deluxe edition. If you want more Gravitic Minds goodness, we put together a Deluxe edition package. This package includes an 18-inch by 24-inch poster, shipped separately in a tube, so it does not need to be folded. Oh yeah, that's something that we talked about. I had suggested to Albert that we don't fold the poster. I know a lot of people don't mind that. It's a nostalgic thing, because I know a lot of like Amiga and Atari ST games and PC games back in the day, they come in the big box, what is that? About something like that, around that, which is what, 8 by 11 inches. So letter size, somewhere around there. And they would just fold up the poster and put it in the box. And so people are used to that. I understand there's kind of a nostalgia factor to that. But for the people who actually want to hang it up, it's a problem, because you have these big fold marks in it. And so I guess they did that with vinyl and a bunch of things back then, because it's just it just optimized things. But for me, it's nice to have a nice smooth piece of paper that's ready to go. And so I suggested that. So hopefully people are happy with that. Maybe they won't be, and so we'll never do this again, but we'll see. And maybe Lawrence suggested that too. I honestly don't remember. I just remember that's always been a sticking point with posters of me. I don't like hanging up something that's been folded before, because the folds are obvious. Okay. Additionally, the first 100 Deluxe will include a reboot coin. Oh, so there's going to be a reboot coin in the first 100. Image of these items are below, and we'll continue to update these pages. These items are produced. Actual photos, item versus renders. We're also exploring other fun. Okay, so it doesn't look like he talks about it, so I won't bring it up. But anyways, yeah. So and a baseball cap. So there's going to be a cap in there as well, and there's the reboot coin, and there's the beautiful label art for the game. So a lot to look forward to with Gravitic Minds. You can get it in a clear card as well. I'm not a huge fan of clear plastic, so I always get the gray card because it looks great in the Jaguar. But yeah. Now the Dr. Typo collection. This is not Reboot, though I believe Lawrence is involved with this, with combining the games into a single ROM and also creating a menu, so you can select the game once you boot up the game. Anyways, this is kind of a long time coming for the Dr. Typo releases. So Dr. Typo has been releasing games, I think, for over a decade now, if around a decade at least, and they've always been free to play, and over the years people have been building or burning. It seems like most of the Dr. Typo releases, if you wanted to buy physical, you could only get it on CD, which is a problem for anybody who doesn't have a CD player for the Jag, a CD unit, because it's those are really expensive now, and obviously they tend to have problems. They tend to break down. They're very delicate machines, and so getting these in a physical thing that you can put on your shelf but also play has been very difficult and expensive, because people selling these, they don't have the experience to combine them into a single ROM, and so they have to sell them separately. And so you could be spending $30 per game. And this collection has 5 games, so you're up to $150 for all 5 of those games. And so now they're in one collection, $60 a piece. You're paying about, what is that, $12 a game. So plus plus really nice packaging. Yes, that's me bragging again. I worked on the packaging for this one too, and this one I really like the Gravitic Minds one, but I really like this project. I like this project a bit more because there was 5 games I had to design cover art for. I didn't have to, but the reason why is when we first started this project, we were thinking about doing the game, selling the game separately. But it became very obvious as we got through a few of the games that we needed to combine them. It just made more sense to do the compilations. We have Crescent Memories coming up, which is a compilation, and then Reboot had just released Rebooted when we were starting on this, and so it made sense to do a compilation on this. And so I had artwork built for 3 of the games, I believe, up to that point, and so I decided to just finish it off, do 2 more unique pieces of artwork for the other games, and so you can see that here on the front of the box. So we have Tube SE, Gem Race, Fallen Angels, Tube 2020, and Rings. Yeah, really cool box art, and that artwork will be featured in the menu selection. This menu is a mock-up I did in the removers library just to show what it could look like when it's moving. In fact, I guess I could probably demo. Well, no, I better not demo that because it's probably going to change. I passed that on to Lawrence. He's probably going to be building it in Jag Studios, my guess, and so there's going to be some changes there. So I'm not going to spoil that. Let's see here. Yeah, there's some screenshots. If you haven't played any of these games, you can go and play them in an emulator. I believe they all run, except for no, I think Fallen Angels runs in an emulator as well. So you can go do that right now. For free. But if you want something physical that you can just plug into your Jag cartridge that isn't a CD, this is for you. And they're all really they're fun games. Most of them are short, like Tube SE is a pretty simple concept. You're just going down a tube. I think I've played this one on stream before, so there might be a video in my playlist on this channel that you can go check out there, where you just you're going down a tube. You want to avoid these red ones because they'll make you stop. You want to avoid just the normal ground because that will kill you. It'll blow up your ship. And then there's these blue lines that speed up your ship, and the green ones are all obviously safe areas. So really fun. Tube 2020 is a similar idea where you're going down a tube, but this one is full 3D. So it's a full 3D game, homebrew game on the Jag, independent game. Yeah, and very similar. It's a bit simpler in terms of mechanics. Oh, I just realized my cursor's there. I need to get him a new screenshot. Anyways, you go down these green bars, they speed you up, and the key is to not hit the edges because it's a best time scenario. You want to get the best time. Yeah. Fallen Angels is the most complicated out of this compilation. I actually streamed this a few weeks ago. I'm thinking about starting in February. I'll do 1 or 2 streams where we just go through all the games because I believe Albert's planning on shipping these in February sometime. So I want to volunteer to push that a little bit more. So yeah, so if you aren't familiar with Rescue on Fractalis, which this game is based on, you just go down. There's this cool animation where you leave your mothership, you go down in the atmosphere, and you enter this fractal world, or this voxel world in this case. I think it's voxel. It's some sort of height map that's being used to generate the terrain. And you go down and you find these crashed ships, which you can see here. You land and guys run out, and sometimes it's an alien and sometimes it's somebody you need to rescue, and there's some buttons you use to drop your shields and open up the hatch so they can come in and be rescued. And then you fly around. There's some things to blow up. There's quite a few levels. I can't remember how many levels. It might say it here, but anyways, 10 pilots, quota 10 pilots in regular missions. There are few pilots to rescue in the first missions. Seems like there's 99 levels or something like that. There's a lot to play there, and it can get quite difficult in the later levels. Gem Race is pretty simple. It's a Mode 7 scrolling racer game on the Jag, where you just collect gems, and it's kind of similar to Tube SE, where you just want to get to the finish line as fast as possible. If you go off the track, it actually takes points away from your score. So
Rings is another on rails type game. It's an on rails shooter, and so you're on these. This looks like voxels to me. I'm pretty sure it's a voxel engine of some sort, where you're going on these rings and these aliens come down and you're just supposed to survive. I believe there's boss battles, but I haven't been able to force a boss battle. It's a difficult game. It's really hard, and so I don't know how long I'll play that. I think I've played this one on stream too, about a year ago. So, but I'll find some time here in the next month, and we'll do a couple more streams just going through all the games in case you're interested in buying a copy. So, yeah, so definitely something to look out for. I don't know if there's anything else I want to talk about here. Let me double check. Nope, I think that's it. Okay, let's get to programming. So there is something I want to do before we, and I don't know if I mentioned this. So today we're going to be, what I want to do is first, there's a few things we need to do with the audio, which we added in last time. When you exit the state for the Cat5 BIOS, the audio continues playing, which is really weird to me because I would think it would crash because, oh, wait a second. Am I actually unloading everything? I don't know if I actually put that in. Yes, I am. So right there, I'm unloading everything. And so we're running some audio, and let's go find that. The function is called set_voice. Set_voice. So we're running the big switch, and then this computer hum is actually the problem. So the big switch actually stops itself because it doesn't loop. So we don't need to worry about that one. But this one, this is where it starts, this is how long it plays, and then this is where it loops. This is the loop point right here. And so right now that just loops on forever. And what you have to do, once you leave the state or you want it to turn off, is you have to tell it to stop. And the only way I know how to do that, and I assume that this is the proper way to do it, is you just do another set voice, but you just point to the channel, which is right here, and you set these values all to null. So just a blank point in memory, and that stops it. In fact, maybe we'll go take a look at the removers library here again and see if that's what you have to do. And so I'm actually not going to do it here because I have this function that's used to handle unloading and loading assets. So I'm just going to put it in there, which I believe I can because I think we're loading. Yeah, we're loading the audio here. We're declaring it here so we can use it. We can define it here in this file. And right before we free the data, we're going to stop that voice. And so we just point to the channel, which we've already done. The rest of these we don't need to worry about. And we just go, we want this null like that and 0. And I guess I should have shown this or showcased the audio repeating after you leave, but you'll just have to trust me. So there we go. If we run our build command, oh, it didn't load. Something's wrong. What didn't it like? Oh, volume ramp it didn't like. I have a function here. I'm just going to set the volume. Excuse me. Set the volume to max. I have been sick for weeks, and I'm just barely coming out of it. No, sorry. I'm not barely coming out of it. I've been feeling pretty good the last few days, but there's still a little bit there. And I'm doing a lot of talking, so my voice is going to get dry. So excuse me for coughing into the microphone. So yeah, we just had to remove that variable. We should be good now. There, no, still not good. What is going on? Game settings. Oh, okay. You know what? Let's just set these all to 0. We should be fine. Just set that all to 0. Yeah, we're not pulling in our game setting functions. Oh, it did not like that. Too few arguments. Let's just put... Oh, whoops, I accidentally deleted the voice frequency. There we go. So if we just set both these to 0, that's fine. Okay, it should work this time. There we go. Okay, so if we go here, and I turn the volume up on this in OBS, so hopefully you can hear it. So you have the computer hum, which I assume you can hear. I actually can't hear it myself right now, which is a little weird. Oh, my headphones are still plugged in. There we go. Yeah, so we have the computer hum. Got our clicks for the interface, and then if we quit, that hum should stop. Yep, there we go. We're good. And maybe I should fade it out. Oh, that's what I could do. I could fade it out. Because we already have a little bit of code in here for fading it in. Let's go find that really quick. Menu cursor. It's up here a little bit. Right here, volume ramp. So fade. I'm going to change this to fade. Audio. Computer hum. Like that. Fade up. Like that. Okay. And then when we exit, so I'm running my fade in its own thing here, so maybe what we do is, oh, that may jump into, no, it doesn't. So I could drop it in here. I just don't know if it's going to get, oh yeah, this will get all the way down. So if this is greater than 0, our volume ramp, we minus, and we set the volume. That should do the trick. That should give us a ramp down. Let's give that a try. Okay. There we go. We had a ramp down on the volume. Easy enough. Okay. So we're good with that. Our volume or our audio is done for at least that menu. So eventually we'll get back to the game that I did a few streams ago. The reason why we aren't doing it now is because I don't have the graphics built, and so I want to build the graphics before we jump into that, because I don't want to spend time on stream painting graphics for that game specifically. And so yeah. Now what I originally had planned for today is the power bar. So let me just switch over to the graphics here really quick. We have our power bar here at the bottom of our pseudo screen inside the game. And right now it's just one big sprite. That's what we're sending out. In fact, let me turn off everything else like that. That's our power bar right now. This is, we really don't need to optimize this because it is kind of a small sprite. But I wanted to kind of go through it as an example of how you can optimize your graphics. So we have a repeating pattern here, and so we don't need this whole thing. But we need to be careful, because if we measure this, you'll see down here when I'm creating this selection box, you'll see how big it is. So it is 3x7 exactly. Now the height for Jag graphics isn't too much of an issue, but the width, you have to be careful. For 8-bit graphics specifically, which is what we're doing, your width has to be divisible by 8. And I believe that's because, well, let's see here. Do I know exactly why? It may have to do with phrase boundaries. No, it wouldn't, because of phrase. That doesn't make sense. It just needs to be divisible by 8. And I think it has to do with how data is packed into memory, generally speaking. And so if we have like 9 pixels, it doesn't pack evenly across, and that can cause your program to crash. It has something to do with the Jaguar platform itself. I don't completely understand it. Seb talks about it in his documentation a little bit, but yeah. And so what we have to do is we have to select at least 8 pixels across. And in this case, we can get 2 bars in there. But for this, because we are going to be packing the sprite as well, we're going to do this 8x8 box like it is now. In fact, let me pull it out. Let's see here. I'm actually just going to crop image, crop to selection like that. This is going to be the new graphic, but I'm going to get rid of this right here. And the reason why is if we get rid of that, we'll get an even smaller file when we compress it. And then what we'll do, once we have our new piece of graphic data, we're going to build our bar in code rather than have the whole bar ready to go. So we're going to be saving just a few bytes of data at the end of the day, but excuse me. We're going to save just a few bytes of data, but I'm thinking as I finish up graphics, as I finish graphics for Crescent Memories, every byte's going to count. I still have some music to do, and music takes up a ton of space, and so as much memory as I can save with graphics, the better. So let's go ahead and save this out. I'm going to just name it the same as the Cat5 power meter, so I don't have to keep track of any renaming. So there's that. I'm going to Control Z everything because I don't want this file to be just that. This is just I'm storing all my graphics in this file. Okay, so we got that. Let me switch over, get Dolphin up. Why isn't that coming up? Let me double check that really quick. Kate. Oh, that's why. There we go. Now you can see it. The File Explorer. We're going to copy this over to Crescent Memories. Cutscenes, Act. What is it? Cat5 BIOS, Graphics. And we're going to overwrite that. And then, I should have this here. Let me reorganize this a bit. So you guys, because before you couldn't see me actually typing in the code to convert these graphics, but I think I want to do that here for you guys. I'm just gotta figure out how I'm gonna do it. Let's do it this way. So, well, that's interesting. Why did that happen? Kate disappeared. Here, 1 second. I'm not sure why Kate disappeared. That was really weird. Where are you? There you are. Okay. Switch back over. There it is. Okay, I can just navigate in here. Okay, so CD audit will be watching. Cutscenes. Cat. What was it called? Act. Cat5 BIOS. Yeah, there we go. And graphics. And if we list that, we need to find our power meter, which is right here. And we use Seb's image converter. And this is a graphic that has a color lookup table. And we need to optimize the color look. No, I don't think we need to run that one because it's an 8-bit graphic. You have to use that opt command if you want to do anything under 8 bits, if I remember right. So 4-bit, 2-bit, or 1-bit, or yeah, 2-bit graphics, not 1-bit. 1-bit doesn't exist. Well, I guess it would. It'd just be a solid color though. And we need the binary file. And for some reason, he has dithering turned on by default, and so I want to make sure I turn that off. It would probably just detect it and not do dithering at the end of the day, but yeah. And we need to tell it to overwrite because we have existing files there. So this is Cat5 power meter GIF, like that. and that says loading file. If it doesn't give you any other messages, that's how you know it did it correctly. And then we need to compress it. So we use LZ77 for that, and P for package, maybe? I'm not sure. Cat5 power meter, and this is actually, if you look here, there's a map file. That's what Jag image convert produces. And so .map, like that, cat5 power meter dot LZ77, and we're going to be overwriting that. And it got almost 50% of the file. So let me bring up Dolphin again. Why isn't that coming up? There we go. And we can actually see the size of that. So there's the power switch. Where's the power meter? Power meter. So uncompressed, it's 64 bytes. And so we almost got it down to what, 32? 43. Not bad. So it really is negligible at the end of the day, but I wanted to use this as an example for a few things in the removers library. So the first example is just compressing it to get the data down, but now what we're going to do is build our bar in code. So the first thing I want to do is I want to count how many bars we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 bars. The other thing I should have done before overwriting our old file is actually measure how many pixels we needed. We need something divisible by 8. So it looks like we're probably going to do 56, which is divisible by 8, if I remember correctly. So 56, which is 8 times 7, right? So we have our new graphic. We do need to make some changes here in our graphics.c with how it's loaded. First, the power meter is not going to be loaded, or actually we can keep these. Yes, we can keep how it's unloading. How it's loading, though, will be different. So our data, where we're storing it, is obviously different. It's now an 8 by 8 graphic, so we need to change that. And then that gets unpacked. And another thing we're going to be changing down here is attaching the sprite. So I'm going to add some space here so we can see what we're working on a little bit clearer. And in the removers library, we can create what's called a screen buffer. And a screen buffer is just a place in memory. It doesn't show up on the screen until we tell it to. And usually you don't display the screen buffer directly. You copy from it into the display buffer that you're already using. But we need to create that screen buffer in the background so we can then create our power bar and then use that as a sprite that we then paste to our display. So we're going to create a new screen, and I'm going to call it, I'm going to use the same name here. I like doing that. Oh, let me get rid of Dolphin. Got to get more comfortable, or just more, got to get in the habit of checking what you guys are actually seeing. So I have a convenient way of doing that. I just don't do it. Oh, screen. And so we're going to use the same name, but we're going to tell it to do screen, and we just say new screen. And this is a function in the removers library that just allocates memory for this screen structure that we're going to be working with. And inside the screen structure is a member called data, which we need to allocate enough memory for that we're going to paste stuff into. Sorry about that. Let's see here. It's been a little while since I've done this, so I need to think about it a bit. I think we're going to need a second screen that we need to copy from. In fact, I think we need to. So we're going to create another screen here called cat5 power meter screen power meter data screen. And this will just be that 8x8 sprite, or that 8x8 pixel data. And what we'll do is we'll put that in here, and then we'll copy that over and over again into our power meter screen to create our bar, and then we'll turn this screen into a sprite that we can then display. I hope that made sense. This can be a little bit confusing if you've never done it before. I know when I was first learning this, it was really new. That whole concept was really new, and so it took me a little while to kind of formulate how that looks in my head visually. I'm a very visual person, and so I have to create an actual like stage show in my head of what's going on in order to properly understand things. And so basically what we're doing is we're creating two boxes. One box has that sprite we just exported out of GIMP, and then the other box is going to be the finished sprite that we actually show up on screen. And so we'll be copying, we'll say, oh, I want to copy 8 pixels of that or 4 pixels or whatever, and copy it into this other buffer. So yeah, so let's set that up. I'm gonna have to look this up, so let's go back over to the browser. I still don't have these functions. Removers, library, Atari, Jaguar. I still don't have, I don't know if he has this pulled over, the documentation pulled over to the GitHub yet. Oh, you know what? We're not gonna do that. I need to get into the habit of just looking at the source files. So I'm going to open, I'm just going to the source for the removers library. And inside the include folder, there is a screen.h. And that will show us all the functions. And there is a a set simple screen function. And what this does is it takes our data, which we've already unpacked, and plops it inside of the screen buffer that we want it to. So set simple screen. I'm going to type that because I need the practice. Set simple screen equals, and I think it needs the depth, which is 8 bits per pixel. 8 bits per pixel, the width and the height. In this case, it's 8 by 8 pixels. And the screen we're going to be dumping to, which is this one, which we've already allocated memory for the structure. And what this is doing is it's allocating, so inside of the structure, there is something called data. And what it does is it goes inside the structure and then allocates memory for data. And this specific function, there's 2 or 3 of these for different uses. But this one specifically, we point it to our data, which is up here, which is Cat5 power meter data. We're just going to be dumping that inside that screen buffer, and you'll see why in a second we have to do that. Because you might ask, why can't we just copy out of this? And you may be able to do that. There may be a trick to do that. I haven't explored that yet, and so I'm not familiar. I just use the method that the removers library has given me. But before we get to that, we got to set up our power meter screen, which we decided was 56. We could do 56 by like 9 pixels if we wanted to. We'll just do 56 by 8 pixels. Oh, we got to change. Oh no, let's do 56 by 7 pixels because we already have it there. We'll be changing this in a moment too. But I got to remember that we need to align it properly as well. So this one, we're going to use one called alloc simple screen, which you've seen that I've used before, and it has very similar parameters, depth 8, and it's going to want the size, so 56 by 7, and in this case we're just giving it this Cat5 power meter screen like that, and there's no data to point it to yet because we're going to be copying data into it from our Sprite, this data screen buffer, which I think we can do. No, we got to run one more command, clear screen, and this is for the buffer that we're copying into right here. And then we do what is called an FB2D copy straight. command. And there's a few things we have to do before we run this command, but since we're here, let's see if we can, I don't think it's in here. FB2D. FB2D. So FB2D is just frame buffer 2D. So we're copying 2D image data from one buffer to another. That's all it's for. Screen copy straight. Oh, interesting. Can we use this? I've never used this before. So target source screen, target screen with a box, hide a box. Oh, it copies the whole thing over. We can't point it to a specific place. So no, I don't think we can do this. See, I haven't seen that function because I don't think that's in his online documentation. And this is why it's important to go to the source files, because Seb has updated things that aren't in the online documentation. For example, this horizontal line and vertical line, I don't think those are in it either. So, and I think he built these functions specifically for some of the 3D stuff, which again is not documented online. So this actually doesn't have the function we want, but that's okay. I'm going to open up the one that we want. Here in FB2D, there's a FB2D copy transformed. Where is it? Right here. Copy straight. Copy a transfer. Oh, it is using it. Oh, so we can do that screen copy straight. I'm going to just use this because this is what I'm familiar with. But we did... So that's why it wasn't in the documentation, is because it just uses the same function right here, which is awesome that you can do that in C code. Okay. Hey, if anybody's in the chat, shout out. I'm actually surprised nobody's dropped in today yet to say hi. Hi if you're there. Okay, back. Oh, no, we're fine. So over here, it's FB2D copy straight, and I need to look up. So it's the source screen to the destination screen, the width and height you're copying from, and the mode you're using to copy. And we're going to have to look those up too. I think we want to just do, it's like mode S or something like that. But we're going to look those up too. I want to introduce everybody to those. Is my audio working? Yeah, it's working. Okay, good. You guys can hear me at least. Just a little concerned. Nobody's actually chatted, I assume. No. Okay. Cat 5. So our source screen, which is our data screen, because this is that little bar in the 8x8 pixel that we're going to be copying over and over again, is there. And then our destination. And I don't know if we need to point it directly to the data. I'm pretty sure we don't. But our destination is our normal screen buffer, our power meter screen, which is the 56 pixel wide one. And we're going to be doing a loop here. But before we do that, we're going to be copying. We won't be copying 8 pixels. We'll only be copying, I believe, 4. Let's go back to our graphics really quick. So if we measure this, we're only going to be copying 3 pixels like that. Or I guess we could copy 4 like that. And that way our padding between these bars is built in. And so we'll be saying, oh, copy that. And then copy this, and it will just go across like that in our for loop and copy all those across. And the other reason why I wanted to do it this way is so we can update the bar with a function, with an FB2D copy command, where we just copy some blank data to there and we drop it down, and then when we want the bars back, we can copy them back up. So, but in this case, they'll only be dropping, I believe. They'll be going down because you're not charging while you're at this screen. You actually charge outside of this. I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to work. So we'll be copying a up here a 4 by, it'll be actually this, I believe. No, 4 by 7, something like that. So that's what it will be copying over. Yeah. I think that's right. Does that go over to, yep. Oh, in fact, that's going to work out great because that padding will be right at the end of the width of our sprite. So this is going to work out great. So back over at Kate, our editor, we'll be copying, I've already forgotten, 4 by 7. Right? Got that. And then we need our mode, which I believe are in here. Yep, they're right here. So these are all the modes we can use to copy. And this, so the example I like to bring up, because it seems to be one that most people are familiar with, is Alien versus Predator. You have the HUD, and the HUD looks somewhat transparent on top of the gameplay. So your view, your first-person view. And the way they're doing that is with a command with the blitter, I assume. I'm assuming all this. I haven't seen the code, but I assume that they're using the blitter to copy a screen buffer on top of the existing gameplay before displaying it on the actual display. And they use these commands to do that. And I'm not sure exactly what command that they use, but they used a command that makes it look like it's overlaying on top, so it looks kind of transparent. And the reason why, the way you can know is with normal transparency, you would just change the hue and the value in such a way that it mixes the colors correctly. But the way you can tell is it does something like in Photoshop, it would be called overlay, where it's altering the colors in such a way. And if you do any graphics, or maybe I'm painting myself into a corner here, because I think you might need to be familiar with graphics to see this. But the way the colors are being blended with the transparency isn't how it would be if it was just adjusting the opacity. It's actually affecting the colors in such a way that it you know they're using a different kind of blend command rather than an opacity shift. For us, I believe we're just going to be doing mode S. So from the source, which is our 8x8 pixel buffer, to the destination. But not the destination. So we're not going to be mixing it on top of anything. We're just going to be putting it on black. So this is the one we'll be using. I'm just going to copy and paste that in. Probably should be typing it, but okay. Now we got to do some things to set this up so it builds our bar out. First thing we have to do is we have to tell it where in this buffer to start copying from. So what it does is it says, okay, we want, in this case, it will be a pixel 00, and then it will use this to determine how many pixels left it's going to copy and how many pixels down. And then it takes that chunk and moves it into the destination buffer here. But we have to tell it where in the destination buffer to copy. So first we're going to tell it where in our source buffer to copy from. And that's really easy in the removers library. We just do this, and the X position equals 0, like that, and the Y position equals 0. Really simple. Then with our destination buffer, which is power meter screen, we need to update where in that screen it copies to every time we copy, because we need it to copy from left to right. So it does the first one, second one, third one, but we need to change that value it copies for each loop. So equals 0, we're going to start at position 0, and we're going to go to position 14. In this case, it's 0 to 13, but we say 14. When you hit 14, that's when you stop. And then count up, loop up, like that. Can't quite see my keyboard. Let me adjust my microphone here. I apologize for any noise. If you're on headphones, it's probably more annoying than on speakers. And we're going to be running our FB2D copy straight command each time we loop, but we need to tell it where in the buffer to copy to. So, oh, whoops, this is wrong. we needed to do the data screen. We needed to set this to 0 and 0. And then our destination buffer, we set the X and Y position. And we won't be changing the Y position, so we'll probably move that out of the loop here once we're done. But we'll keep it in there for now. It doesn't save us too many cycles to take it out, to tell you the truth. But so this will be, this 0 will turn into I times the width that we want to shift every time we copy. And so that is 4 pixels. And let's see here, let's do the math on that. So 4 times 13. So the last one will be 52, and then it'll copy 4 pixels, which will put the last pixel at 56, which is exactly what we want. So that will work. I think we're ready to go, except for, no, I think that's all we need to do. There, we've already done it. The last thing we need to do is actually create our sprite. And so this was the old way we were doing it. I'm just going to comment that out so we can still look at it. Because we use a different command, rather than new sprite, we use a different command to set the sprite when we're coming from a pre-existing screen buffer. And let's look that up really quick. It's sprite of screen. And we use this function name, and then we're setting its XY position on the display, and then we point it to the buffer that we want to turn into a sprite that we can use. So we go sprite of screen and the XY position. So this is why I just commented this out, so we didn't have to go through this again, because we're using these same ones that we were using before to set the position. And then we are pointing it to our destination buffer, which is Cat5 power meter screen, like that. And I'm pretty sure that's all we need to do there. There are a few more things we need to do. Because we've allocated memory for both of these screens, we need to clear those up when we leave the state. We could actually clear up our source screen right now if we wanted to, but for the sake of consistency, we're going to do that up here instead. So I'm going to go to our power meter sprite. It's made invisible, which is fine. It's detached from the display, which is fine. And then we free the sprite here, which is fine. But before we can free the data, we need to do something else. And so right here, I'm going to create a space for this so we can focus on it a little bit better, is we need to free our screen buffers. So we'll free our Cat5 power meter screen first, but we have to free the data member first. And there's a reason why we have to do this. And this took me a long time to figure out. Like, my programs were crashing all the time. And so I want to talk about this a little bit. So why don't we just free the entire structure all at once? It's because we use a second command to allocate data after we allocate data for the screen to begin with. So back down here at our screens, you can see this happening. So right here in this new screen function, there's memory being allocated for the structure. That isn't the data inside the structure. So that data member, that is done here, the set simple screen or the alloc simple screen. That's why we have to do two different free commands to free that screen buffer, because we have to free the data that's been added to it, and then we have to free the structure that housed that data. I hope that made sense. So we just do this, and we do that for both screen buffers, and I'm just going to copy and paste this for time's sake, because this is data screen. Data. This was our source buffer and our destination buffer. And then we can free the data. So that should be all we need for that. In fact, our power bar should be there. Let's run a quick, let's go back to our source. Let's see here. I think that, yeah, there we go. And run, we're just going to run a make command. And yep, there's something wrong. That is fine. Oh, we got to declare all of our screen structures. We haven't done that yet. So we need to declare these, and in this case, I'm doing that in the header file. So I'm just going to go to sprite declarations. So before sprite declarations, I'm going to do screen declarations like that. And we do screen, because this is a screen buffer. That's just our data type for that structure. And it was cat 5 power meter data screen. That was our source buffer. And then our second one was just screen. That was our destination buffer. Okay. Warning, division by 0. Uh-oh, that's not good. That is really not good. Why am I dividing by 0? At line 16. Set, oh, right here. Let's just set these to 1 so we get rid of that error. Let's get rid of that error. Comma has no expression at line 166. Oh, whoops. This is a function. There we go. There's that. And it looks like we're good. So hopefully this will build. Or not crash. That's probably what I should say. Go check it out. And it's not working. So it didn't like something that we did here. Let's take a look. This looks fine. We're setting our screen. I'm probably just doubled up on something. We changed this. Power meter data. Here, let's do this. What I like to do is just comment out everything I added and make sure that the data is just loading. This should work if we unpacked our data. Oh, there we go. Why is it doing that? Something is being attached still. Oh, right here. I gotta comment that out as well. Oh, so nothing should show up now. Okay, it's loading just fine. Then what I'm going to do is just bring in our buffers, make sure it still loads. See, I don't have any type of debuggers, so this is how you debug, is you just comment in and out lines and see if something works. Okay, so that didn't work. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this here and let those run. Either screen, log simple screen, depth 8, set simple screen. I'm guessing this is probably our issue right here. It's not liking that for some reason. Oh no, it didn't like my FB2D. There's probably just an overflow going on here. Cat 5 power meter screen. Here, let's just do this. Let's have it copy over itself a couple times. Am I doing those right? Copy straight, screen copy. Source destination. That is our source buffer, and that's our destination buffer, so that's correct too. Let's see what it does with that. Okay, it doesn't like me copying to those screens for some reason. Let's go take a look at that function. Again, what is it expecting? It is just expecting a pointer to a screen structure. So that's correct with height mode. That's fine. So we should be fine here. So source, destination, width, height, and mode. That's all we need. That should be working. Oh, we may have to copy 8 pixels, at least 8 pixels at a time. Let's take a look. See if that works.
We may have to align this as well. I've just found with widths, nope, that didn't do it either. You should always play it safe and make sure it's divisible by 8. But I don't understand why that isn't working. 56. 7. It will load. It is just this FB2D copy straight command that it's having a problem with. Data. Hey Lee, how you doing? It's good to see you. I'm hoping to wrap up here soon, but I ran into a gotcha. I don't know why it isn't working. I'm trying to copy data between 2 buffers, and when I copy, it's causing my program to crash. So you dropped in at the perfect time. It's probably going to be really quiet here as I sit here and get frustrated. I'm joking. It's surprising how long I can sit with the problem even though I'm not making any progress with it. I'm not going to say I'm really patient, but it's just head scratching. And so it's one of those, it doesn't frustrate you, at least not in the first 20 minutes or so. And so, but it's just one of those, this has worked before. Why doesn't it work now? That is our, oh, do I have these backwards? No, that's our source screen. That's correct. We're going to, this is our source buffer we're copying from, and we're copying to this buffer. That one has been set up correctly, as far as I know. 56 depth 8, yep, that's fine. And then we clear it, which is fine. We set the paint, I'm going to move these up. We set the paint position, or the copy position in our source screen to just the first pixel, or the top left corner. That's fine. Clear screen. Here, let's just try doing it once. See what it does. Let's see if this will load. Oh, didn't like that. Why didn't? Origin undeclared. 189. What? Why would it be complaining about that? It's right there. It's got to be something else. Oh, that right there. There we go. Okay, so it can copy it once without a problem. Let's take a look at that, just so we can see it working. There it is. So it copied, you can see it right there, copied the bar once. So I am just overflowing on something. Let's bring in our loop again and just do 13 and see what it does. Oh, I may have been copying one too many times. That may have been the problem. Oh, wait. Let's bring these back in. These 2 lines shouldn't be causing a crash. It's just setting a position. Nope. Why doesn't it like doing that more than once? Because if we set this to just do it once, it'll work. Or not. Really? Screen. Am I missing something? No, right there. Huh. That is baffling. Why doesn't it like doing that? Equals I times 4. I mean, there's nothing special going on here. Let's try copying multiple times, but at the same location. There shouldn't be anything wrong with that either. It doesn't like that for loop. I must be missing something. Copy. Where are you? There you are. Height of box. Oh, that's fine. 56 by 7. Does it? No. That wouldn't be a problem, would it? The height? Height is never an issue. It doesn't care. You can use any arbitrary number for that. Yeah, it just does not like the fact that I'm in a for loop. Why? And oh, do I have an integer set up for? Oh yeah, right there. It's there. We're fine. Is my syntax correct? I equals 0. Does not. There we go. Syntax error. Got it. This should work. There it is. It's working. Okay. A little dumb syntax error. So the mistake I made is you set for a for loop, you set the beginning value for the loop, and then you need to tell it what's the case that makes it break out of the loop. So in this case, it's I when we don't want it to equal 2. So if it equals 2 at some point, you need to jump out of the loop. And it counts up on I every time it loops. So the first time it starts as 0, and then it says I++. So it adds 1 to I, so now it's 1. It'll run it one more time, then it'll loop back up and it'll hit 2. It'll be like, oh no, we don't run it anymore, jump out. So, okay, this should work. So let me set this back to 14, because we want it to do it 13 times. So, well, we want it to do it 14 times. It's from 0 to 13, which is 14 values. Because we're counting from 0, not 1. If you're not familiar with programming, that may be a little bit confusing, but in programming, you typically count from 0, not 1. There we go. There's our bar. Cool, huh? Okay, we got that working. Let's make sure it unloads properly by exiting out and then going in again. And good. Seems to be working. Anyways. Okay, cool. We got that. That was like 10 minutes. That shouldn't have been 10 minutes. We can clean this up a little bit. Clean up our spacing. Like that. Okay, cool. In fact, I'm going to just collapse this because it's pretty easy to read without all those spaces. Okay. So one thing I wanted to do here before we stop the stream is I wanted to create a function that allows us to change that power bar live during gameplay. Now, the player won't be able to control that directly. It'll be abstracted because during when you're not using Cat5, he'll be charging on sunny days. And so there will just be a value in the background that will be changing. In fact, let's set that up right now. If I can remember where that is. I think it's main functions. So I have a function here called just odd settings. I think that's what we're going to use. Oh, no. Game stats. Here. And so consumables, weather, character selection, character stats reserve. I wanted this to be a global variable because there may be some other things that will affect the... I wanted it to be outside of this here. Oh, wait a second. We may need to add it in. Because if we save this information at some point, we're going to want to save where the battery is at. So we will want to put it in here. We're not going to do that today, though, because that's going to require a lot of changes elsewhere. And so for now,
I'm just going to create an integer called cat5 battery. Really simple. And this is what's going to be called a fixed point value. And what that means is when you're dealing with integers, or with programming specifically, you want to use a decimal but don't want to use floats, what you can do is you can just take an integer and shift and just arbitrarily put your decimal in the middle of the bits that represent that integer, and everything to the right is the fractional part of that integer, and then you have your integer on the left side. And so we're going to set that to, let's see here, how do we want to do that? The reason why I'm doing this is I want to, as you're using the computer, the battery meter will go down naturally. And depending on what you do in the interface, Cat5's interface, it will take more or less power. I wanted to get into some really fine details there. So there's a lot of variables going on, a lot of randomness. So even when you scroll the menu, like you're changing the cursor, that will use more power than just sitting idly on the computer, on the interface. And so that's one reason why I want to use 1616 precision. What I have to decide right now is what is 100% and what is, well, 0 is 0 obviously, but what is 100%? There are 13 values, so maybe that's what we do. So 100% would be in hex 13. I'm gonna have to figure this out. It would be here. I'm going to do this the easy way. It's going to be 13 bit shifted 16 values, or 16 bit positions. And so all this is we're going, and I'll type this out so you guys can see it. This is going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going from 13, which is, let's see if I can figure this out. I'm going to have to do this manually. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. So D. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. So it's going from this. D is just the hex representation of 13, the decimal number, to when we shift it, when we bit shift it 16, we shift it to the left. That's what these are doing. When we bit shift that, it's going to this, because 16 bits is 4 bytes. So we're shifting that, or sorry, 2 bytes. We're shifting that over 2 byte positions. So that's a byte, and we're shifting that over to that. So pretty simple once it gets explained to you. So anyways, so I'm going to just leave a note for future will that 100% battery is 13. Let's see here, is that right? No, it's actually 14 because we have 14 bars, right? It's 14. Battery is 14. So, okay, there we go. So we got a variable to use there, and we're going to set that. We need to set that when we init our stats. Let's see here, tracker, stat reserves, which is right here. So when we init our game stats function, we're just going to give it an initial value, cat5 battery equals, and we're going to just do 14 bit shift, and I realized I did this in the declaration, which I shouldn't have done that. There we go. Battery, and this needs to be a capital B. So now we have access to that variable. I have no idea if we're going to get this finished today, because my guess is I'm going to mess up somewhere on these bit shifts, and it's not going to work properly. But that's okay. That's part of the process. So now we need a function that will allow us to just take away from the battery or add to it. really we just need to take away from it, but we're going to do adding to it as well, just so we can see it live happen, make sure everything's working. And so under our graphics, we're just going to create a new function. We're going to call it cat5 battery update, like that. And it takes in game stats. I think it's game stats, right? Game stats. Game settings, like that. No. Let's see where I'm doing that elsewhere in my program. It's been a while since I've done anything with this. Game stats. Right there. Just to keep things consistent. Like that. Okay, that's declared. Now we can actually define that function. We're going to just do that down here. Yeah. And we need to add some more parameters to this. We need to add amount to change. And this can be a positive or a negative 16.16 fixed point value. And I'm going to actually leave a note. 16 value for myself, so I know to do that if I ever come back to this, which I most likely will. And we just need to now we just need to change the amount. So stats cat5 battery plus equals the amount to change, or yeah, sure. There's probably a better word I could be using with that. It's kind of a weird way to say it, but then we need to update our sprite. So let's see here. How do we do this? We need to account for if we take away and if we add. So we're going to have two if statements. So if we are reducing the battery, and if we are increasing the battery. And so we need to do a check for if it's negative. So if our amount to change is less than 0, we do whatever's in those brackets. Else if our amount, and there is a reason why I'm not just using else for this one, is greater than 0. So if it's positive, we'll run that command. The reason why I'm not using an else command is we do need another condition here. We need to make sure that our cat5 in fact, we're going to have to do some stuff here too. In fact, we need to move this in like that, and we need to duplicate it because we need to make sure we don't overflow that 14, our max battery value. And so we need a check here. For both of these, actually. And stats cat5 battery let's see here. We got to do a little bit of math here. Plus amount to change, which could be negative. In fact, I'm going to bracket all this into one thing because we wanted to check this to get a value. I is plus equal reducing is not less than 0x 1 2 3 4. We don't want it to go into the negative here. That's what we're checking. We don't want it to go past 0 because it can't go any lower than 0. That's why. And then we're going to do the same thing for its max, which in this case it was D, correct? Oh no, I needed to change that, right? Because it's out of 14. C, D, E. Right. 0. Sure. Yes, that's correct. I'm pretty sure that's correct. And then it adds it to increase it. We don't want it to go over, so we don't want it to be greater than. Oh, actually, we need to move this out. Sorry. This needs to be inside of this else statement. So we still do the check. If it's greater than we just need to set it to the max. That's what we need to do. Stats battery equals the max value. Because if the amount we want to change goes over or overflows, we just need it to cap at the max. That's what we're doing here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. If it isn't going to cap out, then we just add it. So we just do an else here and just tell it to add, as you would expect it to. And then we need to, for both of these functions, we need to do an FB2D copy command. And so what we can do, I think we want to make those separate, but we need to calculate where exactly it needs to subtract from. And so we need to convert, so I'm going to create an integer that is called cat5 battery int, which converts our 16-point value. So we just need to bit shift equals stats cat5 battery. There we go. Bit shift right. So we just want the integer. We want to get rid of the fractional part back to 16, or back 16 bits, and that will convert this. So for example, this will just be pushed to this, and it will turn it into a normal integer. That's what we're looking for. And the reason why this is important is this will tell us how many bars need to be on screen still. And so if we're reducing the battery, we need to figure out the difference. So I'm just going to call this bar difference between what it was and what we want it to be, because then what we're gonna do is we're going to just copy out the parts we don't want. Equals oh, so we need, this is our old value, and cat5 battery new. And this is our new, we need to get our new value as well, which is the same thing because we've changed it in this line. And so we need our new value, and we have our old value stored here. Now we just minus those. And so we're going to be reducing, and so we want to make sure that the old value is the first value. So we're going to rename this to old. So this is old minus battery new. Yes, because we never want it to go down into a negative number. So our new value will always be less if we're reducing. So we have the bar difference, and that's going to tell us how many bars we need to clear out. Now I just need to decide how we're going to clear that out. I'm not sure how we're going to do that quickly. If I had just a black buffer to copy from, that's what we need to do. So we're going to create one more buffer. Oh, let's see here. No, we have black data in this sprite that we can use right here. See, our right half of the sprite is already black, so we can just copy from that. Cool. We don't have to set up anything else. That is awesome. In fact, let me update our function really quick here, where it's declared. Really quick while I see that. Okay, so we already have a buffer we can copy from. What we need to do is just set where we're copying from. If we look at that graphic, let me open it up. Open with GIMP. Go over to that so we can take a look. So this is what we're copying from this pixel for this part. We're copying all 8 pixels when we do that, but we just want to copy from basically from this position, which is position 3, and to there, just copying over 3 pixels. But you know what I want to do? We're just going to copy that whole thing because we're going to be copying down like that. So it doesn't matter how many pixels from the right. Yes, it does. Because if we're copying the last bar, we don't want it to overflow. Yes, that is correct. So let's just copy 4 pixels from starting at position 3. So we're going to be copying 4. Okay. Because there's 1 pixel left at the end of our bar, if I remember correctly. 56. Yep. So we just want to make sure we don't copy beyond this because that will cause problems. That can cause your program to crash over time. So yeah, there we go. Okay. So we need to set the position in our source buffer. So that's cat 5 power meter. And I just realized I'm using 2 different names for the same thing. I'm calling it battery and power meter, which I shouldn't be doing that. I'll go through this later and fix all these names probably after the stream. So we're a little more consistent. But so power meter data screen, that's our source. I should have named it source, but that's okay. Again, I'll probably change that. We need to set its X position to 3. X equals 3. And we're going to set its Y position just for consistency's sake, which is 0. And then we need to do a loop. And our loop, I equals, and it's going to be our old position. Think, Will. Let's see our old position. I equals it might be our old position minus 1, but we're going to do some tests here. And then we're going to go, as long as I does not equal the new position, go I minus minus, like that. And we need an I to work from. We don't have that declared yet, so that's declared. And then we need to set the position using the same code we used to initialize, basically. So we can just copy and paste this. We're going to have to change a few values, but it's essentially the same. So on our destination buffer, x equals I times 4. That's fine. Actually, no, that's exactly the same. That's the same. And then, but this is different. We're copying 4 pixels. 4 pixels wide, 7 pixels tall. That should do it. And we can actually test this out pretty quickly. So right now, if we build our project, let's do a make command just to make sure that we have some errors. Warning. Oh, don't need to worry about any of those. Game stats, error, 103. Oh. I accidentally put go 103. Cat 5 battery. I thought it did have a member. It's right there. Oh, this isn't capitalized. Cat 5. There we go. Okay, graphics C. Go 360. Oh, just got to do some cleanup here. That. I got to do the same thing in here, don't I? Except need to change this to less than. And I think I had accidentally had one too many characters there. There too. And there. Glad I caught that. That probably would have bugged me for a while. 344. 344 right there. We need an extra parentheses there. Extra parentheses there. All these little syntax things. Okay, we got that. I want to make, okay, so that's building. So right now, when we run the program, I just wanted to show this as an example really quick. When we run the program, we have our full bars there. So what I want to do as a test is I just want to run our new function, our cat5 battery update function, to just take away like 4 of those bars. And the way we do that is we take our function here first, we run it somewhere before we load. I'm just going to do it up here at the right after we load the sprites. I'm just going to mark this as debug update battery update function, like that. We're going to run the function. We're going to run our stats through that and the amount to change. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a minus 3, we're going to do a minus 4. That should get rid of 4 bars, like that. And that will run the function. I'm just thinking through this, making sure I'm not forgetting something. I feel like I'm forgetting something, so I guess we'll find out. But that should build. Cross our fingers anyways. And see, okay, didn't do anything. Why didn't that do anything? Cat 5 goes in here. It's the amount to change is less than. Oh, I gotta get rid of this. We don't need that. We're doing it. We're doing that down here now inside of this if statement. This needs to be 0. Plus equals amount to change. That's right. Yeah, that's fine. This is good. This is good. There. Battery new. We've made our change and now we're getting it. This is good. We get our difference. like that. We set our source screen position, which is there. Equals battery. X position. Okay. Just come in. Oh, 1 second. I have somebody trying to come in. I'm going to put a mute. Or I'll just put this in. Okay, sorry about that. Had to take care of something. I had somebody knocking on my door. That's okay. Okay, where was I? Okay, I was just checking this. Does not equal... Oh, new. This needs to be new. That was probably the main issue right there. Let's give that a try. There it is. It worked. Boom! That actually, I was expecting to wrestle that for much longer. So, cool. I'm glad that worked. So now, what we need to do is in our interface here, it needs to always be counting down the battery. I kind of want to add this in just so we can see it go all the way down. Let's see here. Let's check our logic here. So right now, if the amount change is fine, if I would like to just skip. Oh yeah, here we go. Equals 0. Yeah, we just need to move this into here. And we need to add as well. So we're taking away. I need to stress test this too before we call it good, but we'll work with what we have. In fact, yeah, let's stress test it. We need to go below 0. So let's see here. Amount to change plus amount is less than 0. Cat 5. Oh, no. We do need to run this. What we need to do is a check. This does need to run anytime we make a change. But I don't want to change it if it's the same value. So I need to do a check here. And we can only do that once we have the new amount. So here we need to do a check here. We only want to run a copy command if the bar is actually changed. We don't want to run it constantly because that'll slow our program down. So else if let's see here. Oh, I'm being interrupted one more time. We may have to end this stream here soon. Let me go check my door really quick. I'll be...
Okay, I'm back. Hopefully that won't happen again. We'll see. Okay. We were adding an if statement because we only want to run that copy command when there's actually a change. And so we need to run this cat 5 battery new before we jump into this if statement because we're going to use it to compare. So if cat 5 battery new does not equal the old value, then we can run it because we know that there's a difference. Like that. Like that. Okay. And then we get the difference. I guess we could do that outside too if we really wanted to. No, that's fine. What I want to do is I want to stress test this. So what we can do is minus this. We're going to, we're going to just do the reducing first because we don't have our logic built for adding yet. We'll do that next. So I'm going to do a minus 16, and that should just put our bar down to 0, and hopefully won't crash our program. Oh. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work. Yeah, it won't go all the way down for sure. No. Let's go. So it is working in the sense that if it is lower than 0, it's not. It's definitely not going to break the program. But we do need it to go down one more. Let's see here, 4 cat 5, I equals cat 5 battery old, minus. Actually, that should have gone all the way down. Cat 5 battery new. Equals. Okay, no, this is why we did this check, is it sets it to 0. Which is good. That's good. And we just need to do does not equal cat 5 minus 1. That's fine. That should work. Or does not equal is less than. That should do it. That should get us down to 0 bars. Oh no. Whoa, why would it loop around? Huh. It's actually a little weird. That's okay. Let's just do that minus 1. That should get us down to 0 bars, I hope. We needed to hit 0, which is the issue. Oh yeah. So if it needs to hit 0, does not. Yeah, it just needs to be -1. Yeah. Or -1 of the value. Yeah, because we want it to hit the actual value. Yeah, so we got 0 bars there, so we're fine. I'm gonna quit. Do that one more time. Oh no, don't want to do that. Huh, didn't work that time. Wonder why. Why is it looping around and do it again? Yeah. Huh. That is bizarre. Why is it setting it back? We have this check to make sure that that variable never rolls into a negative. So we shouldn't be having this issue. Add it.
It's got to be this bit shifting stuff. Bit shift the old value, which will just give us 0. So if it's already 0, this will be 0, and then the new will be 0, because those are the same value. And if it doesn't equal, oh, that's why. It's not painting anything when we come back in. So this doesn't work. Maybe I do need to run this. No, I can't run this every frame. That is an issue. So it's only going to update when there's a change. That's what's going on right now. That's why it doesn't do it the second time around, is because battery old and battery new are the same value when it loops back around into that state a second time. Which in game, that will happen. And so I can't check it this way. No, but when it comes back in, it won't be using this update function to make it to begin with. It will be, I think right now it is though, isn't it? So if I go, when we set the graphic, where are you? So right here, when we build it for the first time, when we come into the state, we need it to not build out the whole thing. We need it to check stats, cat5 battery. Cat5 battery does not equal cat5 battery. That's where we need to check it. So when it loops back around, yeah, okay. That should do it. 14. Yeah. Something I need to change though is this right here. We need to bring in our game stats. So game stat structure stats, like that. We need to update our declaration right there, and then we need to go update our functions to stats, like that, and find the second one. Just down here ways. There it is. I need to consolidate some of this code eventually, or abstract it. Okay, so we got that. Let's make sure that that builds. There's something wrong. Where are you? Is that correct? Game stats. It's with an S. Game stats. Game stats. There we go. So now it should take away those 3 or 4 bars. Should be 4 bars, right? Oh, I didn't like that. Oh, because I need to shift it. I need to bit shift it. Whoops. This is why I leave that note for that fixed point precision, because I'm not often in that using the fixed point precision for things. And so the reason why it's crashing is it's trying to do this thousands of times, basically. So what I need to do is just set a variable here called amount of bars to paint. And do our bit shift. And we can actually do this. Oh, no. We can't do that. We can't use the combined operator like that. Bit shift 16, or bit shift right 16 bits. And then we replace that. There we go. That should do the trick. Cool. Did it. Got rid of all the bars. Let's see here. Let's just do, I want to get rid of 4 bars. Just testing this out a little bit, making sure it's working as I expect it to. Yep, 4 bars, gone. Let's get rid of 1 bar. And there's 1 bar. Okay, I think we're good. Let's get rid of 13 bars. Which is, there we go. Or this might be 12. It might be 2 or 1. Yeah, 2. It's 12 bars. Okay, cool. That's working. So let's see. I've already been streaming for a couple hours, but I kind of want to finish this on stream, so we may go a little bit longer today. So we just need to figure out our logic for adding now, which should be the same thing at the end of the day. So amount to change, else. So everything up to here. And we just need to go and flip things around a bit. There we go. So we're still getting our new value like we normally would. And then we say if there's a difference, then we actually change something. And in this case, we're going up. So our old value is going to be less than our new value, and so we want to make sure that the lesser value is always being used to take away. So the new value to get the difference. I could just use, there's a function in the standard C library just called absolute value, ABS, and that would just make sure I always get a positive number, because when you're finding a difference like this, it actually doesn't matter so much that it's negative, at least for what we're doing. And so if you just ABS'd the value, you'd always get a positive value. But I think this is good math is what I'm trying to do. So yeah, anyways. And we're moving this back to 0, and we're copying all 8 pixels. Basically what we're doing here is exactly what we're doing when we first initialize the power meter, except we're starting at battery old and going to battery new. And we're going up instead of down right there. I think that's right. Oh. This should only be 4. Yeah, we can't be copying 8 pixels because then we're overflowing. We got to do that up in our initialization code too. I don't think that matters if we aren't using 8 on a copy command. It's fine with that. We'll find out. It'll just crash if that's the case. Okay, and then this is just the copy command. Don't need to change any of that. So I just need to think through this. Plus we're going up to battery new, and I don't know if it's probably not +1. Pretty sure that isn't +1. We'll find out here. That should be it. Sets it to E, right? Man, you can tell I'm a elite programmer, right? Let's see here, 14. Yeah, so E is our top value. Okay, yeah, that's good. We should be good. That should work. And so the way we test this is we minus and then we add. So let's make this simple. Let's -1 and then, no, let's -3 and then add 1. That means that only one, that means that 2 bars should be missing. That's what we expect. Yep, I think we got it. I think we're good. So let's do this. Let's -3 and add 4 and see if we can crash the program. It shouldn't crash. I'm pretty sure we have the correct logic in there to make sure it doesn't break. I think we're good. Oh. Why did Kate close? That was weird. Maybe I accidentally clicked on. Maybe the way I had it overlapped. That was weird. Okay. CD. There we go. Okay, I think we're good. Something else I want to do is I want to see it go down, like gradually over time. And so in our main BIOS loop, well, there's a few things we're gonna do here. We're gonna have to decide I'm gonna have to work this all out later, the exact values. But so when we switch on the system, I need it to run the power down. Oh no, you know what we do? I really just need to decide how much detail I want to get. Like when it's running the memory check, does it use just a little bit more power than when it's than if you skip the memory check, you know? So maybe that is what we do. Let's give it a try. Let's have some fun here. Show the Cat 5 logo. That's going to take some power. So the way we do this is stats and Cat 5 battery, like that, minus equals, and we just tell it how much power we want to drain it for that single operation. I don't want it to be a whole bar, at least not for this one, right? Let's make it half of one, which would be what is that, 9 or 8, like that. 1, 2, 3. So half a bar there. No, let's do half of that, which is 4 here. Let's do that. Let's say for each one of these lines, it takes that much battery power for each of those. Oh, and technically we need an update. Oh, that's a good point. Oh, I just need to run it. Yeah, I just need to run this command. This is the command I should be running. That's why we made it. Gosh, come on, Will. And we do a -0. What did we say? 4. Yeah, like that. And because it isn't changing, it is going to run that paint command every time, that copy command. And so it's fine that we run that. We built all the logic in there. And now when it's counting, yeah, this is counting down all the time. And it's going to use just a little bit more, like that, when it's doing the memory check. And then again, it goes down on these, like that, like that, like that on those lines. And then freeze all those. Main BIOS menu. Unload text boxes for this menu. That's fine. Amount of options. Case 1. Okay, so case 1 is our main BIOS menu. And so we're transitioning in those elements here. And so we're going to run a command inside this while loop that it's taking, again, just a little bit more during that loop. And then we get into, oh, what's this? Cat 5 static movement menu cursor. I'm not sure what this is, actually. Why am I doing that loop here? This is weird. Oh, this is the actual menu loop. So BIOS menu Control. Like that. And so this is always running down in an idle state, like that. But this is going to be really low because it's idle. So it's going to be something like that. Okay, and we need to do that. Basically, we need to copy this for everything. Let's see here. Yeah, it's bringing everything in. So it's taking just a little bit more power, and it's going to be doing the same thing down here as well. So there. And we'll, what was this? It was 0.8 like that. And we basically got to do this for every menu. Maybe I shouldn't worry about that right now, but we're going to do it now since I'm thinking about it. 0, yeah. Recovery options. There, just want to make sure I'm in my while loop. Other options. Okay, cool. Oh no, hack and fix. We got to do that one too. And see, this one's a little weird because we actually don't have anything worked out for that yet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create variables for this state that kind of just define when something's being loaded. This is how much you take away, and versus idle, that kind of stuff. Okay, fade. Yep, that's fine. And then whenever you move a button, I want it to we're not going to worry about that right now. Let's just see what this does as it sits. So if we wait here, oh yeah, look at that. It's already going down. Oh my goodness, our battery, it's draining. It's draining. It's a pretty crappy battery. So if we go into different menus here, it's gonna drain down as we load menus, and anyways, this is fun. This is gonna be really cool. Yeah, let's see, it's just draining down naturally. And we are at 0. Oh no, shut down. Yeah, I'll have in fact, wow, we're done. I've been streaming for 2 hours, so I need to get off. But I'll eventually have a little emergency shutdown screen when the power is too low. And so it'll force you out. And that's going to be really important. So the reason why we have this power bar is that there's consequences if you're still doing, for example, if you're running the hack and slash program. If you're in the middle of it and the battery dies, then you lose all your progress for that session. And so you have to keep an eye on your battery meter and know when to drop out so you can perform the recovery and have all that. So anyways, it's just a stat you have to keep track of. It's almost like a timer. It's basically a timer, but it isn't a consistent countdown, and so you have to be familiar with the system. So that's going to take a little while for the player to learn, and hopefully that'll add some interest to the game. Hopefully it won't be annoying. I don't think it will be. Like, as I've gone through it in my head, I'm like, this should be fairly fun. It's no Call of Duty, but it should be fun. Thanks, Lee. I'm glad we got it working too. So, and now if we quit, go back in, the battery should still be. Oh, we still have those commands at the beginning that add energy. So, anyways, yeah, our Cat 5 robot has a battery now. Oh, fun. All right, I think that's it for today. Gosh, I almost think I may need to go in and unify some of these names because we're using the power meter here, but then we're using battery and bar. Maybe I should use indicator, something like that. I'll need to go and change the names for things here to make it more readable. Of course, it's all working. I may not even need to come back to this in the future because I have functions that work well. But yeah, thanks for watching. I don't know. We only had a few people on the stream today, it looks like, but yeah. Tomorrow I'll be streaming again. Tomorrow morning, same time. I think I'm gonna do some more Battle Morph. I kind of want to finish that game. I have no idea. Thanks, Lee, and you have a good day too. I don't know how far I am in Battle Morph, and so I'm just kind of going until I'm done. Maybe what I should do is today I can't play ahead. That's the problem. It auto saves everything. Man, I guess that isn't forward thinking. There were a lot of games auto saving back then. But anyways, so tomorrow may be a really, really short stream because I may be near the end of the game for all I know. You know what I should do? I should look up a walkthrough. That's what I should do and see how far I am in the game. So tomorrow, streaming Battle Morph. Again, if you're new here, I don't think there is anybody new here, but if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe so you get notifications. And you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter as well. There's links in the description for that. I do my last minute notification for everybody who's following me there for the stream, so you know exactly when it's going to start. I try to run my little title card for only about a minute before I actually start the stream, so people aren't waiting around for too long. I know that it bothers me when that happens, and that's why I do it. So, yeah, you can also follow me personally on Instagram. I post artwork there I post Atari artwork, but I also post a lot of personal artwork. It's not random, but it's just studies and sketches and finished paintings. I'm trying to get more into illustration. I'm trying to move away from my motion graphics career as my only source of income. And so that's kind of what that social media channel's for. But I do post Atari artwork there, so if you want to see that, you can see it there. I'm hoping to actually do a lot more recordings of that artwork and post it here on the JagCorner as pre-recorded content for you guys to enjoy. And so, yeah, so I'm on Instagram as well. It's at ThorupWilliam. I believe the link is in the description for that as well. I need to double check that. But yeah, until tomorrow morning, have a great day, and we will see you next time. Thanks.